Let's begin with cutting across to Lok Sabha, where Rajya Sabha, rather, where Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, is speaking.
Hesitant about talking about economy. In fact, every time there's been a request to discuss about issues, specific issues related to the economy or the larger one, we've always come in. I thought I'll just draw his attention, other than the usual budget discussions, budget speech discussions separate from the finance bill. We've always yielded. Economic situation in the country in November 2019 was a discussion held, and similarly prices of essential items 2nd August 2022 we had an elaborate discussion. So we've never hesitated to have discussion, and I thought I'll just put that record straight, sir. Sir, I'd like to begin by speaking about how the Indian economy fares in comparison to what is happening all over the world. Honorable members are aware that our second quarter growth has been very high. It's the highest in the world, and we continuously maintain that momentum of being the fastest growing economy. During the same quarter, July to September 23, the third and the fourth largest economies of the world contracted, sir. Germany contracted by 0.4% and Japan contracted by 2.1%. The other emerging economies, which are largely credited to be the engine of growth for the world as a whole, even emerging economies such as Vietnam grew by 5.33%, Malaysia by 3.3%, and Thailand by just about 1.5%. So when you compare all these developments around the world, and for India to have reached 7.6% in the second quarter is a very significant number that we cannot afford to miss. In just last 8 years, sir, India has become the 5th largest economy from being the 10th largest in 2014. So just in these last 8 years, we have reached the 5th largest in size. Sir, the activities are all across the economy. It's not as if one sector is doing well and on the back of that, because the temptation is to say that the services sector, particularly given the fact that the service sector in its software services and the newly coming in global capacity centers and so on, gives us the feeling, and also because the contribution of the service sector to the GDP is very high, touching almost 60%, there is a temptation to think, is this growth on the back of only one sector, whereas it's not. All sectors are growing, and growing significantly for us to notice it. So because of the Make in India program, and also because of the Prime Minister's production-linked incentive schemes, the manufacturing sector is also now significantly contributing to the economy. The manufacturing sector has registered the highest growth of 13.9% in quarter 2 of this year. Now, if that is one other point that we would like to notice, there is this emphasis that I like to place on the Purchasing Managers Index. Manufacturing number itself is 13.9% growing, but the Purchasing Managers Index in November 23 was 56, which is in the expansionary territory. Now, PMI has been in the expansionary territory 29 consecutive months. So the sustained growth of manufacturing is very indicated by that. Now again, a comparison for the manufacturing sector is comparatively, if you're looking at the major economies, including that of the United States of America, Australia, Eurozone, Brazil, China, and South Korea, they have seen a contractionary manufacturing PMI. Let's not miss this point, because all developed countries are all showing in their PMI, the Purchasing Managers Index, a contractionary terrain number. So just to highlight what I'm trying to say, is I mentioned that 29 consecutive months we have seen the PMI in India in the expansionary territory, whereas in those countries, USA inclusive, they are in the contractionary trade. Now, I'll just read the October and November 23 numbers. For USA, it is just 50 in October, 49.4 in October, and 49.4 in November 2023. Similarly, for Canada, 48.6, 47.7. Australia, 48.2, 47.7. South Korea, 49.8, November 23 is 50. So on, everyone, in fact, the Eurozone collectively, 43.1, 44.3. So on, China's is 50.7 and 49.5. When I bring in China, I know I'm consciously bringing in knowing that it's a larger economy, we are not matching up to them on many scores. But the index today, this is how it is. They're all in the contractionary territory, whereas we are moving forward. So overall, manufacturing. Now, what about exports? Overall exports in October 2023 rose by 9.43% year on year to US dollars 62.26 billions. So exports are also showing very clearly a sign to say that in spite of the consumption and also the demand coming down in the Western economies, our export is showing a growth. WTO halved the world's merchandise trade numbers. They said it's going to come down in 2023, and they said it will come down to 0.8%. India's merchandise exports in the same time has increased by 6.21% to 33.57 billion in October. So WTO tells you that everywhere it's going to come down to the level of 0.8%, whereas Indian merchandise export is going up, and it's gone up to 6.21%. Last year, sir, India was the world's second largest mobile phone manufacturer. We've exported $10 billion worth of mobile phones in 22-23. Now, passenger vehicles is very important. It's not the luxury item, it's a passenger vehicle. Middle class buys them. The export of passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles from India to many countries has increased. PV exports, therefore, increased by 15% to 6.62 lakh units in the year 22-23 compared to 5.77 lakh units in 21-22. Sir, as per the BCG report, made in India products are now seen increasingly. They're visible in the American supermarkets. Is that an indicator? Maybe not, maybe yes, but we can just gauge what is happening. In the American supermarkets, made in India products are now being increasingly seen in the shelves. While US goods imports from China have declined by 10% from 2018 to 2022, they rose by 44% from India during 18 to 20. Decline in 10% from China goods, whereas what we are exporting, merchandise, goods from India, has gone up by 44% to the US. All this is also indicative of the fact that the net direct tax collection is going up. Till November 9th, 10.60 lakh crore has been collected, 21.82% increase year on year. GST collection is now almost on a monthly average stabilized at 1.6 lakh crores. Last month alone, it grew by 15%. E-way bills, very clear indicator of economy being in a positive territory. E-way bills generation has hit another record, and that is highest record till now, October 2023. It crossed 10 crores for the first time since its introduction, surpassing the previous high of 9.34 crores in August 2023. So 10 crores in October e-way bill generation. Capex is a very important thing because we from the government for the last 3 to 4 years have been increasing the public expenditure on capital asset creation. States capex also grew in this period. I recognize that. It grew by 74.3% year on year in the quarter ending the first quarter of FY24. And that is largely because 50-year interest-free loans are being given to the states from the center, and that special assistance, which is 50-year interest-free, sir, we have released 1.3 lakh crores. We've made a provision of 1.3 lakh crores in the budget of 23-24. So that is also making states spend a lot more in their capital account so that capital expenditure, infrastructure building gets a priority. All this has been recognized by even some of the global media who normally don't write much in appreciation of what is happening in India, but I would like to say that I'm sure the honorable members would have read the Wall Street Journal, S&P Ratings, Bloomberg, all of whom, while speaking very well about the Indian economy, sir, refer to the reform measures undertaken by the honorable PM, taking his name. I would like to say this. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's efforts, this is quote, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's efforts to outrun China and transform India's economic model into one driven by manufacturing rather than consumption are creating a tailwind for infrastructure and heavy industry companies. So this observation coming from media houses, particularly those who observe the Indian economy at this time, surely gives the feeling that it is all across the board, the development, the kind of buzz which is around the economy. There can always be some points which I'll certainly come to, some honorable members raising issue of, it's actually not reaching some parts of the ground, water is not reaching or this is not reaching. I'll come to addressing that. But the point on which all of us can take immense pride is something which I list out very quickly. I'm not going to spend much of our time. Where have we reached the topmost position in the world? Where are we in the second position? Where are we in the third position? I'll just list out those items and we'll know that this is across the board for all of us to feel extremely proud of, because this is an achievement the people of India are contributing towards this country. So India is the world's largest producer of milk, largest producer of pulses, dalhan, largest producer of jute, largest producer of sugar, real-time digital payments, largest number happen in India. India is also the second largest production of rice, of wheat, sugarcane, groundnut, vegetables, fruits, cotton, aquaculture, which is inclusive of seaweeds and lotus and so on, and also the marine products. So India is the second largest. Now, second largest again, manufacturer of mobile phones, producer of crude steel. In 2022 alone, sir, India alone registered an increase in production, while Japan, China, Russia and US all witnessed a drop. They are the major producers. They see a drop in production, and we see not only see a growth, but we've reached the second largest producer status. Coal producer, second largest. Aluminium producer, second largest. And also, India is the second sought after manufacturing destination globally, and this is because of a research which comes from Cushman and Wakefield. So the third position, I'll stop with the third, but then, and also one more on the fourth. Third position, sir, India has reached the third position in being the biggest producer of fish and fish products, fish-related products. 8% of global production happens here. Startup ecosystem, third largest. Automobile market, third largest. Pharmaceutical industry, third largest. Power producer, third largest power producer. Limestone producer, third largest power producer. I'm just taking my mind picture back to that one day when the grid collapsed over the western part of the country, and we were running short of technology to handle it, and we also had shortfall elsewhere in the country, but no more of that. Today, India is the third largest producer of power. India also has, especially when we're talking of climate and green action and so on, ranks third in forest gain area. India has added 2.66 lakh hectares of forest area every year between 2010 to 2020. So 2010, I'm including 10, 11, 12, 13. It's not as if, as often it is alleged, oh, for this side of the house, it's always world began in 2014. No, world began also in 2010, and I'm recognizing it. India stands fourth, sir, globally in renewable energy installed capacity. This is a very attractive number, and also to see where our initiatives are giving us tangible results. Renewable energy installed capacity, fourth in wind power capacity, fourth in solar power capacity. And this is something which the REN 21 Renewables 2022 Global Status Report recognizes as a big achievement of India. Now, all this is not happening in only the metropolitan cities. Several things have changed in rural India, and as a result of which our economy is getting the best from the rural area and also from the metropolitan. Purely concentrating on rural India, sir, I want to highlight the numbers between 2014 and 2023, just so that we know the economy is in many ways pulsating in rural areas, and there shouldn't be any apprehension that everything is happening in the urban. Food grain production, now naturally, 2014 it was 265 MMT, 2023 it's 323.55 million metric tons. Food grain production has had a leap of an increase. Pulses procurement 1.52 lakh metric tons in 2014, today 82.21 lakh metric tons, 54-fold increase. Pulses procurement from the farmers. Milk production 146.39 million tons in 14 to 21.06 million tons in 2023. Ethanol production, which is going to directly benefit the farmers, just as others also, I suppose. Ethanol procurement, because you procure it from the farmer directly, 38 crore liters in 2014. Now it is 434 crore liters. Fund allocation, sir, for rural houses. In 2014, it was 66,046 crores. In 2014 to 23, totally 2.02 lakh crores, 3 times increase for rural houses, funds that have been allocated by us. Average annual person days generated under Manrega, that is something of interest for so many honorable members. 208 crore days in 2014, 248 crore days now in 2023. Sir, Gram Sadak Yojana, completed road length, 2014, 3.81 lakh kilometers. Now, 6.21 lakh kilometers, 2.40 lakh kilometers have been added on to the total which existed earlier. Agriculture budget, 2013-14, 21,933 crores. Now, it's 1,25,036 crores, 5.7-fold increase. MSP payment for wheat, again this, and the MSP payment for paddy going directly to the farmer, 2006 to 14, 2.39 lakh crores, whereas what is gone for wheat now between 2014 and 22 is 4.52 lakh crores. The MSP payment for paddy is even more striking. 2006 to 14, 3.09 lakh crores were given for the procurement of MSP payment which were sent to the farmers. Between 2014 and 22, 10.06 lakh crores have gone to the paddy farmers for MSP. So these are indicative that it is not one sector, it is not just the urban areas. The economy in all sides, urban, rural, everywhere, is seeing support from the government in terms of agricultural activities and also other activities. Otherwise, they wouldn't have reached these kind of milestones. Sir, it's not just the numbers. It's also the way in which some schemes get executed. I want, for the sake of honorable members, to do a comparison between schemes which existed earlier and schemes that we are implementing, and to show how the execution of these schemes are making a difference to the common man's lives. Sir, Jan Dhan Yojana is something which we speak very often for financial inclusion. There was a scheme called Basic Savings Bank Deposit Accounts, a scheme which was launched in 2005. In nearly 10 years of that scheme, after being launched in 2005, in 2014, 10 years afterwards, there were 24.3 crore this Basic Savings Bank Deposit bank accounts which were opened. That account, which was opened for these poor people, had no facility for a debit card, had no overdraft facility, and also no insurance coverage. Suppose this person who gets this account dies in after opening the account, there is an insurance payment. None of these provisions existed in that scheme. Whereas under NDA now, Jan Dhan Yojana, which was launched in 2014, and in 10 years, I'm comparing that 10-year set of 10 years and here 10 years, in December 2023, 51 crore Jan Dhan accounts have been opened. Compare the 24.3 crore, which had no other highlights, whereas here with the highlights. What are the highlights here? KYC have been made easy, debit cards and UPI payments have been made, 10,000 rupees overdraft without collateral is provided for that account, and accident insurance cover is also provided. So, just want to show that looking at a recipient, the beneficiary who lives in the village, who needs financial inclusion, not just opening of an account, but also coverage and also business further with working capital. This scheme and that scheme, I just want to highlight. So in a way, I'm going to call these Naam Ke Vaste scheme, which existed earlier, find life now and actually reach the right kind of target in the beneficiary's name. So BSBD accounts were Naam Ke Vaste. Pension, again Naam Ke Vaste. Launch it, forget it. Swalamban scheme launched in 2010. 2010. In 5 years, they had 29.42 lakh accounts opened. That is, in 2014, they ended up with only 29.42 accounts.